Here's 20 esoteric health advice tips that you needed yesterday. Because understand, if you go and listen to your doctor, if you go and listen to WebMD, if you go and listen to what the masses tell you to do, you're going to end up fat, you're going to end up ugly, and you're going to end up depressed. Just look around you. Unfortunately, that's what's average nowadays. No, if you want to have different results from the 99%, you need to do different things. So in this video, I'm literally just going to give you a whole bunch of different esoteric health tips. And understand, in the context of this video, esoteric just means hidden and lesser known, essentially I'm giving y'all secret information. So just strap in and suit up, because I'm literally about to tell y'all the esoteric health advice that I use personally to craft my physique, play D1 football, as well as build my business. So just stay tuned and let's get into it. So the way we're gonna split this up is we're gonna go over 5 different sections of health. We're going to be talking about training, nutrition, recovery, lifestyle, as well as mindset and spirituality. So first, we're going to start off with the training. And training is going to be super simple when it comes to esoteric health. When it comes to esoteric health, you just need to understand 3 things. The first one being is that sprinting is anabolic as fuck, and sprinting just mimics the hunt. The reason why we harp on sprinting so much, why I harp on sprinting so much on this channel, is because it mimics the hunt of either you hunting prey or you having to run away from a tribe or being hunted by a predator. Because of that, the more you sprint, the more of an anabolic effect and release that you're going to get, because it's just a primal movement. It's something that's been done since ancient times, and it's something that's going to keep being done till the end of time, really, as long as you stay in it and don't just stop sprinting just because you leave school or something. No, keep sprinting and keep doing the things that we've been doing for a long time. The second piece of esoteric health advice that you need to know when it comes to training is that you need to understand your body grows in response to the stimulus it receives, meaning that in order for your body to grow, it needs to receive more stimulus, either in the measure of more weight or the measure of more reps. So to all you people out here that be out here doing the drop sets, that be out here doing all the freaking different hypertrophy training and shit, throw that shit out. No, if you actually want to put on size, if you actually want to get bigger and stronger and whatnot when it comes to the gym, you need to understand you need to be either doing more weight or you need to be doing more reps. Okay, so that's just more volume in general, and that's the simplest way to do it. That's all progressive overload is. People love to complicate it and think that you got to do some sort of stupid ass bodybuilder split where you got to go 3x10 on everything, and then you got to hit your lateral delts differently. No, keep it simple. From week to week, just either do more reps or do more weight, and you keep it simple as that. You're going to progress in your training. It doesn't need to be complicated. The last thing I'll touch on when it comes to esoteric training is just you want to be fighting in controlled environments. I'm not talking about going outside and beating niggas' ass just because they look at you wrong and acting like a YN. No. I'm talking about fighting in controlled environments, going to a boxing gym, an MMA gym, jiu-jitsu gym, wrestling gym, whatever it may be, and just sparring and whatnot, practicing, maybe even taking on some fights and whatnot. And the reason I say this is because man is naturally aggressive. Man has always been at war, whether it be tribal warfare, whether it be fighting off predators, whether it just be fighting even in your own clan or whatnot. There's always been war, essentially, as a man. So in order to mimic this, in order to tap into that aggression, you actually do want to fight in controlled environments. And it's just good for the mind as well. It gives you this aggressive nature. It gives you this aggressive mindset that you can take from the ring, that you can take from the arena, and you can apply that into real life. You can apply that to your job. You can apply that to your business. If you're a salesman or something, if you're an entrepreneur, you can apply that same energy, that same intensity, that same aggression into that field, and it's going to help you a lot. Now, moving on from training, we're going to move on to esoteric nutritional advice. And I know this is what y'all really came here for. So the first thing we're going to touch on, and this is really the most important thing, is just you are what you eat. I'll say that again. You are what you eat. And when I say that you are what you eat, I mean you literally are what you eat. How people were talking about how when you eat dead animals, you absorb their trauma and you absorb the energy that they had. That shit was actually true. That shit is actually very true. That's why when you eat fast food, you're not gonna feel good. You're gonna feel like shit, honestly, because you're eating animals that were killed in an inhumane way. You're eating animals that were killed in these cramped up quarters that were then just immediately freaking bred and then slaughtered. It's not a good type of thing to eat. That's why you want to go for more grass-fed, organic type of meat. You want to go for meat that was wild caught and whatnot, meat that was a free spirit. And the reason why is just because you literally absorb the energy of the things you eat. When you're eating meat and whatnot, you're absorbing the energy from that animal. So you want to make sure that the being was living a good life and that it was killed in a righteous way. You want to make sure, he was just living outside, going outside. Let's say you're eating a bison. The bison was out there going around eating grass, piping other bison women. And then, you kill him, and then you get that energy of just a free spirit and whatnot. If you're eating lab-made meat from like these freaking cramped quarters and whatnot, you're going to absorb that energy. You're essentially going to become a bot. You know, you're going to be kind of trapped in your mind. And on top of that too, just like eating like lighter types of food, stuff like fruits, stuff like plants, it's going to raise your vibration. It's going to raise your energy levels. It's going to make you feel lighter inside. That's why when you see vegans and vegetarians, they're often much more positive people. They're often much more like conscious and peaceful and loving people. And the reason why it's simple, they're eating foods that are very light. They're eating foods that are literally full of light energy, because that's how plants grow. You know, fruits and vegetables are plants, and they grow with water and sunlight. Literally light energy. So I said that to say, just be mindful of what you eat. Understand, you are what you eat. So if you're eating fake bullshit as well, stuff filled with seed oil, stuff filled with refined carbs, stuff filled with added sugar, food that you wouldn't find in nature, food that isn't real, you yourself aren't going to be real. Your body's just not going to be able to function properly, because it's not getting the proper nutrients that it needs in order to actually thrive and be just a regular ass organism on this planet. So understand, you are what you eat. Get your meat from well-sourced, organic, grass-fed, you know, wild-caught sources and whatnot. Get your fruits and veggies pesticide-free, and you try to eat a lot of those, and just cut out the fake, toxic bullshit. Simple as that, because you are what you eat, and you want to make sure that you yourself are taking in information, because food is information. You want to make sure you're taking in information that's creating the type of person that you want to be yourself. All right, now we're about to get a little deeper, kind of more onto this topic too. Is this another thing that you want to remember, is that your words have power, and specifically when it comes to the water that you drink, you can actually speak power over your water. Like, you know, if there's been studies where people have spoken like bad words over the water, they'll speak like hate, disease, and then like the water will change like this warped, just sort of like, I don't even know, it just literally looks like death in a bottle essentially. But then there's other people that will speak like love, bliss, peace and whatnot over the water, and the water will kind of form this like harmonious pattern, like this cool like pattern and whatnot. So you just need to understand is that your words have power. It's been said in like so many spiritual texts, it's just like death lies in the tongue. So you can literally speak life into your water, or you can speak death into your water. Now, if you're gonna speak death into your water, yo, you're crazy. I'm not gonna lie. You probably worship the devil. Like you could leave this channel. But for like 99% of people watching this video, you want to start speaking life over your water. Essentially, use your words to your benefit. Understand, a lot of this stuff that you hear is not all woo. It's not all like woo spiritual people that go up into the mountains and whatnot and like, you know, be chanting a whole bunch of mantras. No, a lot of that stuff is actually does have validity. There's a reason why people do it. So one of these things is just speaking power over your water. Start speaking power over your water. Like literally, I could literally tell this water, but I'll say, this is holy water that's going to bless and heal and nourish my body. And now when I drink it, it's going to bless and heal and nourish my body. It's really that simple. And you can even speak this power over your food as well. Because understand, your words, your actions, that's all energy. You have the energy to literally, you know, change the stuff around you. You're essentially an alchemist. So use your words to your advantage. And this can go beyond just food and whatnot. You know, you can literally use your words to like train yourself. Like for instance, like me, I'll give you a quick little example. Like if I don't want to get out of bed in the morning, I won't just sit there and try to convince myself in my mind. I'll literally say out loud, I'll say, get up, and then I'll get up. Because the reason why is because I always do what I say. Because of that, my words have power. So when I say something to myself, it means it's gonna get done. So you start, you know, building that self-trust, that self-discipline in yourself. You can do this too, and literally just tell yourself to do things and you'll do it. That was a quick little side tangent, but anyways, let's get back to the topic. So some more esoteric health advice. Understand, electrolytes, they literally have the word electricity in the word, so they're just energy for you. So make sure you're getting your electrolytes, stuff like potassium, magnesium, sodium. This can be as simple as just putting some salt in your water, making sure you eat more fruits and veggies, and you'll get your potassium, magnesium, and sodium. Because electrolytes, again, they're electricity. They're like just potent, pure energy for the body. Next thing, and this is kind of like a personal thing. Now, look. I don't advocate anyone to go out here and be using nicotine and whatnot. I personally use nicotine gum when I need to focus, because understand, nicotine itself is not bad. Now, the niggas out here that fucking puff on cherry vapes and go and smoke cigarettes, I don't really advocate for that, although cigarettes can be kind of cool. Like, you can look kind of cool if you're smoking a cigarette. I'll be 100% honest. But for the most part, you don't want to be doing that. Now, nicotine itself, though, it's just an ancient substance. There's been people that did like in South America, they would do like a lot of tobacco ceremonies. They would just do a lot of things centered around tobacco and using that as not a drug, but rather as a medicine. So don't get caught up in the modern day that like nicotine is all bad. Nicotine can actually be used to really help you focus and kind of just lock in into just a different sort of state, essentially. So again, I'm not advocating that you use nicotine in any sense. You're free to do whatever you want. All I'm saying is that me personally, some esoteric health advice that I apply to my life is just I use nicotine gum in kind of a ritualistic way where I only chew nicotine gum when I'm working on something, when I'm editing a video, when I'm writing something for my business, when I'm writing down posts and whatnot. And because of that, my brain then associates the nicotine with work. So the only time I use it is when I work. And on top of that too, it just helps you lock in. And it also helps you take shits and have good bowel movements. So just keep that in mind. Now, next, I'm gonna keep it real simple. Y'all know this wouldn't be a susu video unless I talked about fasting. Fasting, simply put, when it comes to esoteric health, it just strengthens your spirit because it allows you to realize that you can be good with food and you can be good without food. Now, obviously, everyone freaking eats. Everyone is gonna be good with food. Everyone is gonna feel better with like a meal in their belly. But there's a few people that can still feel good, still feel energetic, and still just feel like they can go out and accomplish stuff without food. And when you rise to that level where you can still just kind of push past the need to eat all the time, where you can kind of just use like the hunger as energy, just like having a hunger for life, having a drive to go forth and go do great things, that's when you truly begin to transcend. That's when you can truly start to become strong in your spirit, because you don't need anything outside yourself is what you begin to realize. You don't need a pre-workout meal in order to have a good workout. You don't need a pre-workout drink in order to go out and hit a new PR. You don't need anything other than your mind, your body, and your spirit. So that's what fasting does, esoterically speaking. And also, you know, a little primally speaking, it also just mimics the regular way of humans eating, because there was no fridges, there was no pantries. You was not gonna go into the pantry and get a freaking Twinkie and whatnot. No. You had to go hunt for the food that you wanted, and if you didn't find food that day, you was just not eating that day. Simple as that. So fasting is just natural, and it also strengthens your spirit. And next thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to nutrition, even though this technically isn't nutrition, it's just about consumption, is just when it comes to the media you consume, just understand you literally are what you consume, and that's more than just food. You know, we were talking about that like a bit earlier, like 10 minutes ago or so. But you need to understand is that you also are what you consume. So the media you consume, the TikTokers you watch, the YouTubers you watch, the podcasts you listen to, the TV shows you tune into, all the sports that you watch, all the news that you take in, it affects you. It literally creates who you are. So you need to understand is that this content that you're consuming is literally creating who you are. Subconsciously, you're picking up patterns, you're picking up mannerisms, you're picking up ways of acting from all this stuff that you consume. So just be very careful with that which you consume. Make sure that you're only consuming content from YouTubers that you look up to, that you admire, that actually are giving you valuable information. Make sure you're only watching TV shows that have good lessons and whatnot, stuff that's actually going to make you a better person, stuff that's actually just going to make you the person you want to be. If you're listening to the news and whatnot, you're pretty much just tuning in to stuff that's going to bring you down, because most of the stuff on the news is negative. It's very rare that they're actually reporting about positive stuff on the news. So I say all this to say is just start going on sort of like a media or like essentially a consumption, like a social media consumption diet, where you make sure that you're only consuming content that actually helps you and actually serves you and helps you become the person that you want to be. By the way, I feel like now is as good a time as ever to let y'all know that if you want to transform your body in the next 90 days and go from where you are today to becoming an athletic and aesthetic freak of nature, you can do that by clicking the top link in the description below and getting access to my athletic body program, which is on pre-sale right now, but only for the first 100 people who get it. So go and get it before I eventually double and quadruple the price, because it will literally transform your life. Anyways, back to the topic. So now we're gonna move on to the recovery part of esoteric health. So the first thing when it comes to recovery is just understand you should be deep squatting way more than you are right now. And what is a deep squat? It's when you get in a squat and your balls touch the ground. As simple as that. But the reason why is just because, you know, chairs are not natural. And the length of time that we sit in chairs is also super unnatural and actually super unhealthy and super bad for you. It's literally freaking condensing and killing your lower back, killing your spine. It's just causing a whole bunch of misalignment in your body. And the sooner that you start just deep squatting instead of just sitting down all the time, the better that your body will feel. You'll open up your hip cavities, your knees, your ankles, even like your abs and whatnot will get activated. Like everything will just feel better in your body. And you need to understand, like you really just shouldn't be sitting in the chairs in general, because again, it's just an unnatural position to be in that position for a long amount of time. You ever sit on a plane and whatnot, you get up and you feel like shit because you're just like, you're in this cramped, unnatural, kind of like submissive position. You don't want to be doing that. Instead, what I advocate for is that if you can, obviously, because, you know, I know a lot of y'all be in school, y'all got to sit at chairs and whatnot. A lot of y'all be at work, you got to sit at your cubicle and whatnot. But as much as you can, instead of just sitting down in a chair, stand up, walk around, sit in a deep squat, literally just lay down instead of just sitting in a chair, because chairs are just not natural. Think about it. If we was in nature and whatnot, if we was living primal and all that, where would you find like a chair where you can just find a perfect seated position where you're sitting with like your legs at that 90-degree angle, and then, you know, your back is completely straight? No, it's not natural. You might find a rock that you can lay on, but even then there'd be no back support. So you would have to actually like use your abs to support yourself. You might be able to find a tree, but even then your legs would be like flat out. You'd be at like a perfect like L shape and whatnot. You get what I'm saying? Like, chairs just aren't natural. So I said it to say, get rid of all chairs in your house. Like, I don't know about y'all, but me personally, once I get my own crib, there will be no chairs in that bitch. I will just be standing and I will be deep squatting all day. Simple as that. No chairs. And also, this is going to lead into the next point on recovery. Is start sleeping on the floor. Okay, now look. Hear me out. Start sleeping on your floor. And the reason why, and there's actually a reason why behind this, is because, simply put, the beds that we have nowadays are too soft. They're literally too soft. They don't actually support your muscles. They don't actually support your bone structure. You kind of just like sink into it with like memory foam. It's like sleeping on a cloud, quote unquote. But that's not actually good for your body. Rather, if you're training a lot and you're part of like the athletic team like we are over here, is that you actually want to sleep on something like, you want to sleep closer to the ground, and you want to sleep on thinner mattresses. Stuff that essentially, you know, mimics just sleeping on the ground or whatnot. Because when you do this, you're actually just gonna have better alignment. Like nowadays, I don't even sleep with a pillow. I literally sleep on like a thin, like 2 or 3 inch layer mattress right on the ground, and I've been getting the best sleep of my life. When I wake up, I don't have like the usual where I'm like tossing and turning and trying to stay in the bed. No, I immediately just get up. 1, because I don't want to be there no more. But 2, because I actually feel energized. I actually feel like, okay, I can go forth and just do the things I need to do. It just gives you a better quality of sleep, because now your spine is perfectly aligned and whatnot. You don't have like all these random cricks and whatnot. Your body is properly supported by the ground. And just think about it, like, there was never going to be a time in ancient times. There's never a time during I know I'm referencing primal times a lot in this video, but I'm gonna keep doing it. There was never a time in primal times where you would find a perfect memory foam sort of material. There was no freaking moss beds that were that soft that you were going to sleep in. There was no freaking grassy plains that were that soft that you were going to sleep in. No, you would be sleeping on stuff that was pretty firm, like close to the ground, whether it be a rock, whether it be a cave floor, whether it be grass and whatnot. You just wouldn't be sleeping on these random memory foam mattresses that we have nowadays. So I said this to say, floor bed 2025 and beyond. Me personally, that's what I'd like to do. I like to just sleep on the ground with a little thin mattress, you know, kind of like the Japanese tatami mattresses. I think that's what they're called. I might have just butchered that, but y'all get the point though. Sleep on the ground and don't sit in chairs. All right, next thing you want to do is you actually want to hit the sauna more, because the sauna microdose is death. That's right, y'all heard me right. If y'all didn't know, by the way, I actually just came from the sauna. That's right, Smooth Skin School in the building. That's a spiritual soul reference for those of y'all that get it. But anyways though, yeah, so the sauna microdose is death. It's real simple. When you go into the sauna, it's super uncomfortable. Let's be real. You go in the sauna, you sweating, you breathing hard, your mind starts playing tricks on you. Your mind might even start hallucinating. By the way, that's actually happened to me a couple times. That should be a little scary. There's this one time I was in the sauna. I was in there for like 30-40 minutes. I get out, my vision started going blurry and black on me. I low-key thought it was over for me at that point. But I say that to say is that when you go into the sauna, it kind of just mimics death, you know? It mimics, like, it's very intense and whatnot. So that's why you get such a crazy response when you go in the sauna. That's why you get heat shock proteins activated. That's why you get HGH activated, human growth hormone, which is going to keep you young, which is going to give you energy, which is going to grow your muscles. Heat shock proteins, which is going to help you recover faster. So just understand, this is your body's response to trying to keep you alive. You know, your body thinks that you're dying. Your body literally thinks that, like, oh shit, it's over for us. Like, we're in this super hot place. Who knows if we're going to survive? And then your body gives you, it triggers this stress response, which actually helps heal and energize your body. So I say that to say, some esoteric health advice is just start hitting the sauna. But you don't just want to hit the sauna like a fucking normie. You don't just want to go in for like 10, 15, 20 minutes and be like, oh my gosh, I'm beat. That was enough for me. No. You got to go in like a real ass nigga. You got to go in like a fucking G, my guy. So I'll just give y'all an example. Today, I went into the sauna. I did 4 rounds of 20 minutes. And I did that for like, I had like 5-minute breaks in between. So ideally, you go into the sauna and you want to go in for 2 to 4 rounds of 15 to 30 minutes, and you take like a 5-minute break in between each round. And the reason why you do this is because when you get out of the sauna and you kind of like cool down, then you go back into the sauna, this is what activates the heat shock proteins and the HGH. And ideally, you actually don't want to do this too often during the week. You really only want to do this like once, maybe twice during the week. Just that way, it's like your body's not going to get used to it, and you're actually going to get that HGH and heat shock protein response triggered. And quick little caveat, by the way, I hope y'all are understanding when it comes to esoteric health advice, is that when you apply acute stressors like fasting, acute stressors like sprinting, training hard, training intensely, lifting heavy ass weights, hitting the sauna, this is actually what triggers growth. This is what triggers you to stay young, because you got to understand, it's like your body is going to adapt to the things that you throw at it. So if you're just sitting down all day, if you're living a passive life, if you're just, kind of just moving like a blob of meat and whatnot, you're not actually doing anything that's that active, you're not doing anything stressful or hard, your body's not going to give you these advanced adaptation responses that are going to strengthen you and make you stronger and make you more energized in the long run. It's just going to keep you at homeostasis. It's going to make you stay average, essentially. So just understand, acute stressors are actually very good for the body. Now, chronic stressors, that's the stuff that kills. That's like, going to a job that you hate for 30 years. That's just like eating the same slop food for 40 years. Like, that's the stuff that's going to accumulate. And then by the time that you realize that there's a problem, it's too late. You're cooked. Sorry. Chef Boyardee. Dusky. Love you. But anyways, let's move on to the lifestyle aspect of esoteric health. So the first thing y'all got to understand is that the sun is a supercharger. Understand, the sun literally gives life. Like, do I need to say more? The sun literally gives life. Without the sun, for one, the earth would not be able to rotate. The earth would fly out of orbit and whatnot. There would be no gravity and whatnot. Plants and like fruits and veggies would not be able to grow. Animals and us humans would not be able to see. Like, the sun is literally life energy. So I said this to say, stop fearing the sun, okay? A lot of people are scared of the sun. A lot of people think that the sun causes skin cancer. A lot of people think that the sun just isn't good for you. No, understand, the sun gives you energy. The sun literally changes your DNA. The sun gives you melanin, the stuff that everyone in Africa has, the stuff that your boy has. Yes, you actually gain melanin the more time that you spend in the sun. The key is, though, you can't just go in the sun like a fucking normie, okay? You can't just spend all your time inside and then all of a sudden go on vacation to like the south of France or something, or go on vacation to Hawaii, and then you decide to spend all day in the sun, and now all of a sudden you're surprised when you get sunburn. It's like, nigga, you went from 0 to 100. What did you expect? No, you need to ease into it. Like, there's a lot of like fair-skinned white people that be like, nah, if I go in the sun, I'm gonna get sunburned. Obviously, nigga, because you go from staying inside all day to spending an hour outside, your body's not gonna know how to react. You gotta ease into it. Go from spending like 0 time outside to spending a minute outside, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, spend time in weaker sunlight, gradually progress into, the higher UVs in the day, where it's like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or whatnot. You gotta ease into it. And what's going to happen when you start spending more time in the sun, and really all you need is like 30 minutes to an hour a day, and you can like read, walk, you can train in the sun to get the sun. All that's going to happen is just like, you're going to become sexier because you're going to be tan. Your hormones are going to be in check because you're going to get the vitamin D. It's going to help with bones and whatnot. And you're going to be happier as well. It's going to release like serotonin, dopamine. Like, the sun is literally life energy. There's a reason why people that live in freaking cold places, that live in like the north of Canada, that live in Alaska, that just live in like, on either like the southern, like the tip of the southern or the tip of the northern hemisphere, there's a reason why they're all depressed. It's because they're not getting sun. You literally need the sun. Like, the sun is essential. People sleep on the sun, but the sun literally creates life. So start getting more sunlight. Like I said, 30 to 60 minutes a day. And if you're a real ass nigga, you'll tan your balls as well. I'm not retracting that statement. I said what I said. Oh, and last little tidbit about the sun as well is just to understand. Remember, the sun is not dangerous. If we couldn't survive with the sun, if we couldn't evolve and grow and change with the sun, we would not be here, because the sun would have burnt us to a crisp. It would have given us all skin cancer or whatever. No. Here's the key, is that if you actually want to go in the sun and not get burnt, eliminate seed oils. Seed oils actually fuck up your skin so bad to the point where you will start to get sunburned the more time you spend in the sun. So eliminate seed oils. Is that simple. Next thing you got to understand is that grounding outside in nature, which literally just means walking barefoot on the earth. Yes, you can do it. It's not some super crazy hippie thing. No, it's actually very good for you. So when you walk on the earth, when you walk on grass, sand, the beach, and whatnot, it discharges negative ions in your body, and it just balances you out. It literally, grounding just gets you in touch with the earth. So it'll get your circadian rhythm right. You'll find that if you like start walking like in a park and whatnot barefoot, if you walk in the grass, if you walk on some dirt, if you walk on the beach and whatnot, if you walk on sand barefoot, you'll find that all of a sudden you're just falling asleep at like 9 p.m., waking up naturally at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I remember when I was in Thailand, actually, like several months ago, I would literally do this. I would take long walks on the beach. Okay, yeah, I was doing that. I would take long walks on the beach, and I would go barefoot. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting tired at like 8:30. I'm falling asleep at like 9 o'clock. I'm waking up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. naturally. I'm waking up and I'm seeing the sunrise, and I'm like, damn, I fuck with this. I like this. So I said this to say, when you start grounding, you're just going to get more in touch with the earth, essentially. You're going to get more in touch with the circadian rhythm of the earth. It's also going to absorb negative ions in your body and just essentially absorb negative energy that you got. So start grounding, literally go outside barefoot and just stand for like 5. Like you can get a whole bunch of benefits all in one. You can literally go outside barefoot, shirtless, to get the sunlight, and then you discharge the negative ions, and the whole time you can even be doing push-ups and squats and pull-ups or something. Like you can crush like 4 different things in one. So don't be out here in my comments saying, oh, I don't have time for this, oh, how am I going to implement this? I just gave you a great method. Start kind of combining different things and whatnot. Simple. Use your brain, my nigga. All right, next thing is that walking is the original nootropic. For those of you who don't know what a nootropic is, that's a smart drug. If y'all have ever watched like that show or that movie Limitless, where they had like the NZT pill, it's like that. It's like you take this pill, this thing, and it makes you smarter. Well, walking is the original nootropic, and the reason for this is simple: is that when you start walking, you get more circulation, you get more flow, you get more motion in your body. And like Isaac Newton said, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So if you want to get better ideas, if you just want to be healthier, if you just want to be sexier, because walking also helps you lose fat, low steady state cardio and whatnot. So it'll help you lose a little bit of fat as well. But just start walking more if you want to get better ideas. It's going to stimulate your mind. I guarantee you, the conversations you have while seated versus the conversations you have while walking, it doesn't even compare. The conversation you have while walking will be way better. It's why when you're on the phone, you're walking around trying to get the best ideas churning in your brain. Big tip, by the way, for all my sales niggas out there: if you're doing sales, make sure that you're taking your sales calls while walking around, because it just gives you better ideas. It kind of puts you in more of like a dominant position as well. You're welcome, by the way. So yeah, start walking more in order to actually make your brain smarter. And also, there's been studies done, by the way, where like it'll literally show like that there's way more brain activity going on once you take like a 20-minute walk. All right, so next, these are kind of like some self-improvement stuff, and just keep in mind what I'm about to say. This is not financial advice at all. This is esoteric health advice. Remember that. So the first thing I'm gonna tell you about is essentially just remember, leaving home is the original form of self-improvement. Leaving home, moving out of your parents' crib, whether it be your mom's crib, your dad's crib, wherever you stand, your grandma's crib. Moving out is just the original form of self-improvement. And the reason why is because you're essentially dropping a nuclear atomic bomb into your life. You go from an environment that you're completely familiar with, yet you're completely comfortable with it, you were completely used to, where you were like the Don or whatever, you knew your position, you knew your place. When you drop yourself in a new environment, it's just gonna be sink or swim, man. It's eat or be eaten, man. It's just like you have to change, evolve, and adapt. Simple as that. Like I remember when I left my home in Arizona and I went to college in Miami, it was the same thing. It was sink or swim. It's like you gotta adapt and evolve and just become the person that can handle that sort of situation. And it's just gonna make you grow as a person. You're gonna be able to become the person that you've always wanted to be. You're not gonna be limited by like people in your hometown or whatnot that like label you as this, that label you as that say that you can only be this, you can only be that because that's the only version of you that I know you as. No, none of that bullshit. You essentially get the opportunity to recreate yourself. If y'all have read the 48 Laws of Power, I think it's like Law 25. Robert Greene says like recreate yourself. But leaving home and just moving to a new place where you don't know anyone, just moving to your dream city, essentially literally just getting out of your crib, leaving the crib that you've grown up in, is just the best form of self-improvement. It's going to force you to evolve in so many ways. It's going to force you to make new connections. It's going to force you to just level up as a person, essentially. So the sooner that you leave your crib, the better your life going to be as well, because you're not going to have like parents or whatnot and just people around you that like kind of like place you into this box and try to like box you into what they want you to be for them. No, you pretty much get to break out those shackles and say fuck that and just become the person you want to be. Now next thing also, now I say all this to say this is not financial advice, but this is something that I personally apply in my life, is you actually want to increase your expenses. And the reason why you want to increase your expenses is, look, by the way, you got to be a certain type of person in order to do this, but you want to increase your expenses because it forces you to rise to a new level. If you're always playing at the small table, if you're always playing the small game where it's like, oh, I'm gonna save 401k and the S&P 500 is gonna get me rich, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's the long game, the tortoise, not the hare. It's like, yeah, bro, sure, but understand is that by the time that you get all that money that you put in the S&P 500, inflation is gonna make that shit worth like $5. So you're not actually winning in the long run. No, what you need to do is you need to increase expenses, and then you need to come up with ways to make more money. You need to increase your income. You need to be in a field that allows you to the point where, like, the fruits of your labor, the fruits of your effort, you need to be in the right vehicle where, like, if you put in more work, if you put in more effort, if you put in smarter work, if you make better systems and whatnot, you're going to get more income and whatnot. Now, again, this is not financial advice, but just choose the right wealth vehicle. You know, if you're at a job, if you're working at McDonald's, and like you working hard and becoming an employee of the month, that's not really going to do much for you. You might become a manager and make like what, $20 an hour now? No. Find a vehicle, find a business, find a side hustle, something that allows you to scale, something that rewards you for the fruits of your labor. And yeah, you do this by just increasing expenses and essentially forcing yourself to become someone that can afford those expenses. Now, again, like I said, this is not financial advice. For most of y'all watching this, you probably won't be able to do this. You're probably not cut like that, and that's okay. There's got to be some normies out there, and maybe it's you, bro. I'm playing. If you watching this, you a real ass nigga, especially if you made it to this point in the video. Yeah, you got it, bro. Just trust. But anyways, we kind of gonna move on to some testosterone stuff real quick. So some esoteric health advice when it comes to testosterone is just avoid microplastics. This is just plastic, as y'all can see here. This is a glass jug because I'm a bougie ass nigga, and also I just don't like drinking out of plastic. So plastic water bottles, even wearing like polyester and stuff like that, you want to avoid that as much as you can. You want to opt for like cotton options. You want to opt for like glass bottles. You want to opt for food that wasn't wrapped in plastic. Just try to avoid plastic as much as possible because, you know, it's just got microplastics, which essentially have like, I think they're called like phytoestrogens or something. It lowers your testosterone in the long run. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if you train or whatnot, let's be real, you gonna wear the dry fit polyester clothing. So this thing, like I said, this is why I kind of put it towards the end of the video. It's not as important, but just try to avoid microplastics as much as you can. Simple as that. Next thing that we need to understand, now we're kind of getting into more of the mindset stuff, is that you need to understand is that testosterone is actually not what you think it is. Okay, a lot of people think that testosterone is this thing. They're like, oh, I get more testosterone, I'm gonna become an alpha, I'm gonna become like the strong big nigga. No, that's actually not how testosterone works. The way that testosterone works is that you will actually become more of what you think you are. Testosterone will just give you the energy. It will magnify who you think you are. It will give you the energy to become more of whatever you are. So the nigga who thinks he's a beta, the nigga who's submissive will just become more submissive the more testosterone he gets. He could have levels of 1,000, but he's actually just going to become more submissive because he has a self-image where he's a lame ass nigga. The dude who thinks that he's the alpha, that he thinks he's the king of the world, he gets to like levels of 1,000 of testosterone, he's going to become even more like the king of the world. He's going to act even more like an alpha. So this is why self-image is so important, is that you want to make sure that the stories you tell yourself, the framing that you have in your mind, the story, the preconception, the preconceived notion that you have of yourself in your mind is serving you. You want to make sure you're telling a story where you are essentially the hero, because look, life is a first person game. Life is a first person shooter, okay? So the more that you can convince yourself that the story you're on, that the journey you're on is actually serving you, that you're going towards greatness, that just like, you know, you're accomplishing something, that you're on a path towards literally something, towards your purpose, towards your mission, the better it's going to be for you. And then once you start doing stuff that increases testosterone, like training, getting sunlight, you know, just winning in life, competing, you know, smashing cheeks and whatnot, it's actually going to make you a better person. It's going to make you more of that person that's actually like getting what they want and having their way in life. Simple as that. If you're a lame ass nigga and you're out here getting your sun and you're out here, you know, eating your red meat and whatnot, sure, you know, you'll be healthy, but you're just going to kind of become more of that, you know. Like there's dudes out there, like it's weird actually, I'll see like jack dudes, like dudes that are swole as fuck, and they'll be like the softest people, you know. It's crazy, but that's life, you know what I'm saying? It's about what you think and hear that really matters. The physical, you know, you can be the strongest, most athletic, most jacked, scariest looking dude in the world, but if your mental isn't right, it don't matter. All right, now quickly, because my camera's about to die, I'm gonna touch on some spiritualities, parts of esoteric health. Understand, when it comes to meditation meditation is not this thing that people think it is. Really, meditation is just an avenue for you to let God speak in your life. Meditation is just you sitting in silence, you just pretty much not eliminating the thoughts, because there's always going to be thoughts, but just giving yourself enough space for God to talk to you. Because understand, we're always so stimulated. We always got social media going on. We got TV going on. We got friends and family trying to get our attention. There's so much stuff. You got your own personal life problems that you got to deal with. There's so much stuff that's always trying to get your attention. All meditation does is kind of just put that to the side for a second, put it to the wayside, and allow you to just kind of focus and be still and just listen to that inner voice, which is God talking, by the way. And then that inner voice of just reason, your intuition, whatever you want to call it, God, it will guide you and give you the information that you need. So when you meditate, that's all it is. Breathe in, breathe out, get calm, get relaxed, and just give yourself the space and the silence to let God talk to you. That's all meditation is, in my opinion. And then the last bit of esoteric health advice that y'all can use to get right, that you needed yesterday, is semen retention. Okay, semen retention is not just some fad. Semen retention, I'm actually about to make a video on semen retention like later this week, by the way. But semen retention is not just something that you do just to say, oh, I'm on day 90 of no fad, but now I'm levitating and now all the girls want my penis. No, it's not like that, bro. Here's how semen retention works. Is you got to understand the whole point of life, like biologically, physiologically speaking. I don't even know what term I'm supposed to use here, but the whole point of life is you want to pass on your seed, okay? You want to pass on your lineage. And how do you do that? You do that by smashing cheeks and impregnating a woman. Simple as that. So what semen retention does is it forces you to actually go out and do the thing that's going to continue on your lineage. Look, if you're out here and you're washing corn and you're beating your schmeat and whatnot, and you're busting raw nuts everywhere into your hand and into everywhere except a freaking coochie, here's what's going to happen. Your dopamine shit is going to get hijacked. You're essentially going to be giving yourself the reward, but you're going to internally know that you don't deserve it. It's going to create shame and guilt. And it's also just going to make you super unmotivated to actually go out and find a real wife. So what semen retention does is like, look, now you're not getting stimulation from corn. You're not getting stimulation from your hand. You now have to actually go out and become the type of guy that can get a woman. Now, let's say you're not the type of guy that women want. Let's say you're not desirable at all. You have zero status. You have zero money. You're fat. You're lame. Let's say you're like that. Okay, now your body's going to force you to upgrade. Semen retention is just forced upgrading, forced evolution. Now, you actually got to go get a job. You got to go get some money. You got to go build a business. You got to go build your body. You got to go build your charisma, your personality. Semen retention just forces you to actually level up if you want to continue on your lineage. If you want to go and smash cheeks, simple as that. You got to become someone that's worthy and deserving of smashing cheeks. Anyways, that's all for the video. I know this was a long ass video. You stayed and watched this entire video. I really hope it helped you. I hope I gave y'all some esoteric health advice that you needed yesterday. And seriously, just stay up and stay blessed. Don't forget to check out the last video I made about my personal 10-year fitness transformation. And with all that being said, I appreciate y'all, and I'm out. Dooski.